Hi everyone, it's Desiree and I am here with the reveal for the Scrapping for Less Flavor of the Month card kit for November 2018, and the theme for this month is Sophisticated and Elegant. As always, I will have links to these downloads of your ingredients and also the sketches that I actually used for the first 4 cards. So let's dig right in and let's look at what's going to be in your kit. Now again, remember, the items that I'm showing may not be the same as what you will receive, but they will be within the same collection. So please keep that in mind. For the cardstock, you get 2 sheets of the Nina Solar White 110 pound. You will also get 6 sheets. One is in Safety Orange, Spearmint, Black Licorice, Pink Lemonade, Grout Gray, and Steel Blue. Now, of course, I'm not saying them in the order in which I showed, but that's okay. Also know that this is My Favorite Things cardstock. So let's dig into the collections. So if you signed up for the Double Dip Sunday, you will get these 4 collections and the cardstock that I just showed you. So the paper here is called Twinkle Glints by DCWV. You will get some ephemera by Bo Bunny called Black Tie. You will also get some butterflies by Petal, and you will get a packet of sequins by Buttons Galore, and the stamp set is by Scrapping for Less, and it's called What If I Fly. Also in this collection you will get an envelope. So in every one of the collections you do get an envelope as well, because you have to have an envelope for the card that you make. Yes. Okay, so as I'm fighting with the collection, so the paper is actually by Scrapping for Less, and it's called Rustic Elegance, and it is double-sided. I love the texture in it too. That's, you guys know me. I love texture. You get some wooden die-cut doilies. You're also going to get a couple pieces of ribbon. You will get some tags by Prima, a sequin pack by Buttons Galore, and the stamp set once again by Scrapping for Less called Bloom. The detail in that floral is absolutely amazing. It's beautiful. Absolutely beautiful. So as we go into collection 3, still fighting with the packaging because that's what I do. I know everybody else doesn't have that problem. Your paper's by Echo Park called Fashionista. It is double-sided. And again, with the pattern papers, you always receive 6 sheets. You will also get this ribbon of pink bling, pink bling. There's a lot of things you can do with that. Some ephemera by Fashionista. You get the sequin pack by Buttons Galore. Your stamp is Sugar and Spice by Santoro. So for collection number 4, this is perfect for masculine cards. So your pattern paper is by Scrapping for Less, and it's called Dapper Man. I just love the prints on that paper. They are perfect for masculine cards. You'll have some metal arrows by Tim Holtz. You will get some enamel dots by Echo Park, a sequin pack by Buttons Galore, and the stamp set is by Scrapping for Less called Dapper Man. And it is just perfect for masculine cards. It is definitely perfect for the stash builder. All of the items that you see here are for the Double Dip Sunday. So if that's what you subscribe to or purchase, those are the items that you will get. Now, if you subscribe or order the Banana Split level, you will also get a white gel pen by Reminisce. You will, and that is by Marvy. You will also get a die by Sunny Studio called Sparkle. You will get either a package of pearls or rhinestones by Kaiser Craft. And your stamp set is by Scrapping for Less, and it's called Puttin' on the Spreads. Yeah, I like the title. I think that's cool. I just saw that. Okay. Yeah, I catch up to things. So again, if you purchase or subscribe to the Banana Split, you will get everything that's on the screen that you're seeing here. Okay? So keep that in mind. Some items may change, And also, Double Dip Sundae does not include the banana split level. So let's dive right into our cards. So for collection number 1, I used sketch number 2. So if you print that down, you'll actually see the sketch that I used in creating my card. So what I did was I took the black, now I call this like a shimmer. I know it's paper. I know it can be considered a glitter. But I just think that it doesn't have the feel of glitter. It's not rough. It doesn't come off. It feels smooth. It's awesome to work with. So I took the black. I cut a scant 4 1/4 by 5 1/2, which will give me a little border around my card base. I then cut another panel 4 by 5 1/4 and layered that on top. And then I cut 2 strips from the solid gray, and one was cut 3/4, and the other one was cut 1 inch. So once I have those in place, I'm going to trim them off the side, or off of the side, and then I'm going to set the ephemera down. Now, I fell in love with the huge piece, and it just simply says wonderful, beautiful, and magical. That is perfect for the focal point. It's also perfect to be your what a nicer thing to say to somebody. I then also grabbed the rose that I had received. And, you know, what's great with this piece of ephemera, what you could have done, it could have been colored with a colored pencil. I just chose to leave it black and white. I do like the look of black and white. I find that sometimes if I'm doing my card kits, there's always a black and white card with a pop of color, and that's where the butterfly came in. I just love the look of it. I also love black and white photos too, yes. So I'm going to adhere that onto my standard A2 size card base, and that is 4 1/4 by 5 1/2, and I do go or lean towards the top folding card bases. I also grabbed my Nuvo white drops just to add some accents to the banners that are on the focal point, just to help make the sentiment pop just a little bit more. Excuse me. And that is our first card. For our next card, for collection 2, I chose sketch number 4. So I'm actually going to stamp right onto the cardstock, and I used the first sentiment, "You are so beautiful." I just fell in love with the sentiments when it came to this stamp set. They are the ones that inspired me, actually. And I actually used some stitch rectangle dies for my stash, but they have a curved corner. So I've already cut some of those pieces out. And then I wanted to stamp Bloom onto the burlap on one of the cardstocks. So I stamped it specifically there so that I could use a heart die from my stash. And now I'm just going to layer these pieces. So I have that strip cut at 3/4. This one, the next one, is cut at a half, or just under a 1/2 inch. So I have the one sentiment using the same dies. They are nested. And that's going to sit over the stripes. Now I am going to trim off those edges of the strips that I have cut there. I'm going to prop up the sentiment, "You are so beautiful," using my double-sided foam tape. And then once that's trimmed and set in place, wow. Okay, let's try that again. Once that one is set in place, wow. I'm then going to set the heart right above that. So for the heart, I want to make sure that I have double-sided foam tape and also glue, because it's going to come off of the original sentiment, the first one. So I was just playing around with the placement there. So I decided to have it come off the top. So I'm going to use some foam squares on that, and you can see I am only putting them on one side and just adding a little bit of glue down onto the bottom just to make sure that it stays even if it should be mailed. That is the card panel. So I'm going to apply this to my standard A2 side card base, which is 4 1/4 by 5 1/2, and it is a top folding once again. And then I'm going to grab the sequin pack and just place some of the sequins around the card, just to help it bling it up just a little bit. But I do really like the papers because of the rustic look. Yes, the vintage photo would have been beautiful on this, but I want to show that you don't always have to use the vintage photo. You can just use the pattern paper and your card will look absolutely beautiful. So that's our second card. So for our third, I used Collection 3 and Sketch 3. So I went into my stash and I found an oval die, and I'm going to stamp my image, and I'm going to stamp it. I'm actually using Memento. I wasn't quite sure where I was going to go. Now, to save time, I did color this off screen. But I use the Memento because usually when it comes to a face image, I always use my Copics, my skin tones. I literally have the packet called Skin Tones. So I always use that. So I always stamp in my Memento. And then I used my Spectrum Noir colored pencils to color her in. I did set also some lines underneath her so it doesn't look like she's floating. So I added those using my Faber-Castell pen. I have my pieces cut. So I placed down my card base, again, cutting it to be a scamp 4 1/4 by 5 1/2. I have my strip going across, which is 1 1/2 inches. I have my 4 by 4 inch square underneath. I used one of the pieces of ephemera. It was actually a fishtail banner. I'm going to place that down in the bottom right hand corner. And I wanted to prop her up, but I'm like, you know what? I just want to add that. So I put her on a piece of the shimmer glitter paper. That's what we'll call it. And I just cut around the edge. So if you don't have a nested die, if that's the only size, put your image down on the cardstock that you want to accent it with and cut around it. And it will be even. And then that's another way just to frame an image. So I did just want her framed just a little bit. I'm going to glue that panel down onto my standard A2 size card base. And then I'm going to grab my black Nouveau drops just to add some accents coming off of the picture. There was some what I call white space. So Collection 4, Sketch 1 is our next card, and I'm just in love with this stamp set. So I stamped the hat. I wanted to stamp the sentiment So Dapper just to get it inked up just a little bit, almost prepping the stamp. And I grabbed a circle from my stash and I stamped the So Dapper on that as low as I could get that. I've cut some pieces of cardstock. I made this one a very large fishtail banner, and this is cut to be 2 1/4 wide. So I'm actually going to set that down. My base is a scamp 4 1/4 by 5 1/2. And then I grabbed the solid gold and I just cut that into a strip of about 1 1/2 inches, a little bit more. And then I just angled it just to give me that angle going across the card. And then I have this strip here, which is about 1 inch wide. And that's going to sit just right on top of that. I love the colors of the cardstock and the prints. They actually remind me of ties. These are the prints that I would see on a man's tie. Not sure if that's what they were going for, but that's what I saw. I thought it was actually cool. So I'm going to put some foam squares behind the So Dapper. I'm going to set that. I want the sentiment to be a little bit crooked. And then I'm going to add some foam squares to the back of my hat to make sure that that's propped up as well. And I want to set that on an angle as well off of the sentiment. What I used, I did color the hat obviously off camera, and I used my alcohol, my Prismacolor alcohol markers to color that in. So I went with like a brownish tone with a blue band that matched the blue coming off the pattern paper. I'm going to use some of the enamel dots that came in my collection. No, they're not the perfect color, but they do go perfectly. Again, it's just a splash of color that can come right off that card. So using the elements from our banana split level for card number 5, I die cut the sparkle using the silver shimmer glitter paper, and then I cut 2 more out of white cardstock just so that I could have that raised to create almost like my own die cut piece, chipboard piece. So I'm just layering those together. And then of course the top would be the silver. So once that's in place, I'm going to set that aside so that it can dry. And then I'm going to grab a black piece of cardstock, again, a scamp 4 1/4 by 5 1/2, and I'm going to stamp. I grabbed the 2 perfume bottles, and I'm going to stamp them. I want to create my own pattern paper, and I just want to stamp all over this piece. So for the smaller perfume bottles, I'm going to use my silver embossing powder. For the taller ones, for the taller perfume bottle, I'm going to actually use my gold embossing powder just to give it a difference in color. I want to set my die cut right in the center, but I thought it was getting lost on those images that I have just stamped all over. So I just cut a 1/2 inch strip from the black cardstock, and I'm going to set the sparkle right on top of that. So it'll help. It's not wider. I didn't want it wider than the sentiment, but I did want it to block out some of the embossing that I did behind it, if that makes sense. Because I really just wanted the sentiment to pop off. And I thought if I went straight down on that panel, it was kind of getting lost. I mean, lots of embossing going on there. Lots of sparkle and shine. I grabbed my white gel pen that came in the pack, and I'm just going to use that to highlight some areas of the perfume bottles. So for the gold, I colored in the one section and then added some highlights on the other places there. If you ever have a problem with your white gel pen working, you saw what I was doing was taking the tip and rubbing it on my finger just to warm it up. Now, remember in the old days with pens, we used to use a lighter. Yes, I'm aging myself. And I still do that if I have to. Yeah. Use your finger. Do not use a lighter. Just have to say that. Just do not use a lighter. I shouldn't have mentioned it. Okay. So I grabbed all of these wonderful gems and I placed them all throughout. I think they added some great color to the card. And I think it is just all girly and glitzy and everything. So as always, I like to show you the close-up of the cards in normal speed, so that in case you miss something, maybe the close-up will show you here. And no, this is not slowed down. I'm actually moving that slow. So I hope you did enjoy this video. I hope I give you some inspiration for when you receive your card kit. And if you haven't subscribed yet, make sure you do. This one is going to go quickly, I am sure. If you like this video, hit the thumbs up. Make sure you hit the subscribe button. There's so much more coming. All of the links that you need, whether it's to the ingredient sheet or the sketch, or to, of course, to be able to buy the kit, will be listed down below, along with other links to their blog and to their online shop as well, and online store. So make sure you check it out. They have many wonderful products to fill up the stash that we have created over the years. I hope everyone's having a great day. I hope everyone's enjoying themselves and getting ready for the upcoming holiday season, because now it begins, at least for me. Always remember what's most important, everybody. Always be creative.